Hello everyone and welcome back to another Arknights operator analysis. Today I will be evaluating the upcoming operator Fartooth. So Fartooth falls into the Dead Eye Sniper archetype, which is a class of operators that targets enemies with a low defense at a very long range. And as an enthusiastic user of operators such as Ambriel and Firewatch, it disappoints me to say that my analysis of Fartooth has left me thoroughly unimpressed by what hyperglyph is selling. I just feel that Fartooth is a very mediocre and very uninspired operator overall. Her kit is very much a copy-paste job of other operators, and her design makes her look like she either has an abnormally small torso or is inflicting a perpetual wedgie onto herself. Either way, I'm not a fan, and I'm not convinced they put too much effort nor thought into her design. So honestly, I think it's fair to say that she is kinda just a throwaway operator for hyperglyph to cash some money off of, and I suppose hyperglyph is busy putting more resources on projects like the upcoming Arknights anime or Arknights Enfield, so I do fear we might be getting more Fartooth-like operators in the near future. Anyways, tossing my personal opinion that Fartooth is boring aside, let's dive a bit deeper into her kit and objectively analyze her power level. So Fartooth's talent 1 will increase her attack by 15% provided she doesn't take damage within the 10 seconds after her deployment. I have a couple minor gripes with this talent. First off, it does seem a little bit low to me considering the buff only applies to Fartooth. Every other operator with a percent attack buff will apply that buff to themselves as well as certain allies on their team. AJ Magala, for example, gets an attack buff of 14% to herself as well as all caster operators. Scotty is another operator with basically the same talent, but she buffs Abyssal Hunters instead. So if we do some value calculations, we see that an operator like AJ Magala or Scotty will be at 1.86 times more effectiveness than Fartooth, provided they activate at least one synergy. These calculations don't bode well for Fartooth, and they even ignore the 10-second talent activation wait time. And that is the other problem I have with this talent. Having to wait 10 seconds is a little weird, and I think many doctors will just find it very annoying to have to play at 1x speed for 10 seconds after deploying Fartooth in order to maximize their gameplay efficiency. Fartooth's second talent gives her the ability to ignore evasion and reduce the taunt level. Not really much to say here. This is a talent that will usually not be relevant, and even when it is, I'm doubtful it would ever make or break a clear. So Fartooth skill 1 is a pretty standard throwaway ability that hyperglyph just loves to make for these 6-star skill 1s, I guess. It just gives her some minor attack speed buffs, a pretty uninspired skill, and no one posted any gameplay of it, so it's probably bad. And while this first skill is just boring and lame, the next two skills look a bit more fun, at least visually. But when delved deeper into, we see that skill 2 and skill 3 are just vapid, rehashed skills from previous operators, and neither skill is particularly powerful. Fartooth skill 2 is basically a copy-paste job of Ambriel skill 2. Very likewise to Ambriel, activating her skill 2 gives Fartooth a global map range, which can for sure come into play at times. For example, for my Annihilation 3 run, I effectively make use of Ambriel by taking out the bomb tails before they are in range to bomb my operators, and then she is also effective at sniping the Arts Master A2 drones from a distance. Being capable of safely sniping these high priority targets is what makes Ambriel a premier operator. Now with Fartooth being a 6-star operator, you might assume that she could accomplish a similar task to Ambriel here, just more effective. But that assumption couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, Fartooth can't even target aerial enemies globally. Fartooth can only globally target enemies that are being blocked by an ally operator. And this restriction seems very strange to me. It's like they were aware that they lazily implemented a rehashed version of Ambriel skill 2, so to differentiate they felt the need to add an additional effect. But for whatever reason, they chose a very detrimental effect instead of a beneficial one. And it just annoys me when I see Redditors impressed by Fartooth's global range. It's like they're completely oblivious that Ambriel is an operator in the game already. It just frustrates me seeing a lot of misinformation on a video game going around that hopefully this video will help address. Anyways, moving on, whereas Fartooth Skill 2 is a lesser version of Ambriel, Fartooth Skill 3 is just a lesser version of Swartz Skill 3. It's basically the exact same as Swartz's Skill 3, it just has global range at the cost of doing less damage. In the Arknights Theorycraft Spears, we often approximate skill damage integral rhythmically using this formula. And plugging in values for Fartooth and Swartz while assuming base E1 stats for simplicity, we can easily see that Swartz outpaces Fartooth in DPS. And this difference in DPS only becomes more apparent over time. But some CN doctors have also taken the time to make comparison tests that I will be overlaying on the video footage. So quite frankly, Swartz does far more damage than Fartooth and therefore is the superior operator. Now to be fair, Fartooth's advantage does come from the form of infinite range, but the thing is that's just never a problem. No maps in the game have enemies countless tiles away from your operators, and hyperglyph will never implement such maps. Just think about it. Bigger maps would mean the tiles are smaller, which would make the game very cumbersome to play and people would just uninstall. And honestly, Fartooth Skill 3 as well as their Skill 2 is just a classic case of manufacturing demand. There's just no need to globally hit an enemy that is already blocked and taken care of, and there's definitely no need, nor will you ever have the opportunity, to snipe an enemy 32 tiles across the map. Ultimately, what I'm trying to make clear is that Fartooth solves problems that do not need to be solved. It's like buying bottled water when the tap water is perfectly drinkable in your area, or buying a Crunchyroll subscription when you can just easily pirate. Fartooth is a useless addition to one's roster, and her design truly highlights everything wrong in our increasingly commodified society.